Welcome to the audio test show.
Is that what this is?
Where we do a show for the
Testing the
specific
audio.
reason of testing the audio. Dun 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 dun.
The audience is now dead.
Dun. See, Paul, your mic sounds hotter than Scotty's does right now.
Yeah, Paul.
Why is
What do you want
that,
me to
Paul?
do about it?
I want you to
didn't
fix
fucking,
it, Paul.
You had the
job,
audio,
Paul.
dude. We're talking to TJ, and he's like, "Yeah, the audio guy here for like 4 hours." I was like, "Cool, you leveled the mics." Then, no, didn't really didn't do that, guys.
We didn't get into that, man. We were
You're fucking stupid,
We were
TJ.
focused on other shit.
Yeah, like weed.
Yeah, like getting high,
What?
watching stupid 80s movies. I know what you did.
I just had a big conversation with you
Dude,
guys.
I talked with that dude. He's a cool guy and he knows his shit. But I
Yeah.
sat and talked with him and I was like, dude, I could just sit and smoke a joint and watch 80s horror movies with this guy. That's what you did last night, didn't you?
Hey,
you didn't work on
TJ.
this shit at all.
No.
Those notes
No.
you just jotted, you scribbled those
Yeah.
notes that you sent us down while you were sitting in there watching fucking
They'll think I actually
They
did
Live
this
or
shit.
some shit.
Stupid fucks.
smoke passing the J back and forth with your new stoner buddy. I know what it is.
You know.
I know what it is, TJ.
Oh, you do you?
Got your fucking number, bro.
You're a son of a
Hey,
bitch, Paul.
TJ. You're a
right.
lying sack of shit.
So I want
Fucking
you.
hypocrite.
I want Paul to get angry right now for some specific.
right.
You're gonna have to
reason. I
make
don't
me
know why.
angry because you know what, dude? I can't just. I'm not a fucking organ grinder monkey. Okay, I'm not an organ. Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
All right. Well, you said to get
Hit
you
me
angry.
in the fucking face with a lighter. That's not.
That seems.
That's not what I meant. You can't intellectually make me angry. You don't
It
know my
was-
triggers by now.
It was way quicker to just throw a lighter at you.
I guess that's true.
I mean,
it
was
did
the-
piss me off.
It was the most efficient means of producing the result I desired. So,
I just expected more from you, TJ. I expected you to
man.
go with the psychological.
dude,
route.
I'm barely even fucking awake yet. Because you know what? Galen came over here last night, and like, you know, when Galen's
See?
around,
You want to make
the true story is unraveling
you wanna
now.
make Paul
'cause
mad?
You know what happened is I fucking as soon as the audio guy left, Galen came over
Oh, no.
because Galen wanted me to help him shoot something. So I helped Galen shoot this thing, and he's like, "Oh, it's not gonna take no time at all." It was like an hour and a half of shooting Galen.
Well, you know that was a lie. I mean,
But I just, you know, when Galen tells you it's not gonna take no time, you
it
just,
only take me a couple
then-
seconds, couple minutes.
Quoth the raven, nevermore.
but then he just stayed and 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 stayed and
TJ,
we ended up watching terrible fucking
that's
music
why-
videos all night. We watched we were trying to find the worst song in existence, basically.
but that's why at a certain point you look at someone and like you nut up and go like, "Hey, dude, need you to get the fuck out of my house."
I
See-
think that I won that, by the way, with Maroon 5, something like the girl something. I don't know.
Oh, the girl with the broken smile.
No.
I don't know.
No,
dude.
it's even worse.
That one's terrible.
Well, all Maroon 5 is terrible, but I
You're
found
right.
one that was like, it's like the third most watched video on YouTube or some shit. It's crazy amount of views, like 1.5 billion views. It's way up there.
insipid.
And it's fucking awful. Like the song is like, it's got to be the word. And every time you think the song's finally wrapping up and you're free, it goes into a new section and you're just like, fuck. And Ellen's in the video.
Oh man, yeah,
And
that's all you
Sarah-
have to say.
And Sarah Silverman's in the video.
What, dude?
Man,
no.
When
no.
did Sarah Silverman become insipid? Because I remember liking her for a while.
I never did.
When she first came out, I remember going like, all right, I get it. She's kind of like deadpan humor.
Yeah.
I kind of got it. You know what I
Right.
mean? I thought she was pretty funny. But at some point, she crossed over and just became like...
It's because she used to be the reason that she sucks, and I never liked her, but I do understand what you're saying. And the reason she sucks to me is because she's a person who kind of made her bread and butter off of offensive humor, who then turned on offensive
Right.
humor and
Like,
decided
no.
she was going to be on the outrage side of the fence.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, she's a fucking traitor to comedy.
Yeah, that would be probably why she's so insipid to me now. Because I guess I do remember back in the day when she first came out, she was way more like, she's about triggering religious people. And
Yeah. The one routine I found of hers that was funny, and it's not even really clever, but I did laugh at it, so I can't deny it. She was talking about that stupid like grade school rhyme. It's like milk, milk, lemonade, round the corner
Yeah.
fudge is made, and she got the whole audience she kind of did a cursory examination of it, and she got the whole audience to chant "fudge is shit," you know?
Right.
Fudge is shit. Fudge is shit.
Right.
And that was pretty funny. So I got to give her that much at least. But, you know, like I said, not really a very clever joke. I mean, she just basically brought the joke from childhood to the forefront and got an audience to chant it. And that was pretty funny. And you don't really see a whole lot of audience interaction with comics unless they're like insult
She
comics.
She's always been kind of a juvenile comic, but it's kind of funny, like you pointed out, that she kind of made her way doing that. It's like, she was like over the top offensive. She was one of those, I'm the female comedian, but I'm over the top and edgy and offensive. And then it's like, all this SJW shit started cropping up. The PC era of kind of, it just really kind of started cropping up in comedy more and more. Where people were like, we need to censor comics. You can't just say that. You can't just make these statements. And it's like, she was like immediately like, oh shit, people are criticizing me. Oh no, I'm on the side of these people. They're right. We can't make these jokes anymore. That's done.
Right. And I mean, I feel like when you when you used to hear about Sarah Silverman, it was always, she did this offensive thing. She did this outrageous thing. And now it's like she's outraged by something and she's taken a stand against this. And she's really like this idea in comedy of like this whole argument being made against Louis C.K., for instance, of like, you know, he's still punching down.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't matter which direction you punch in
Not in
fucking comedy.
Yeah.
It just matters that you punch.
Right. And I listened to the audio that got him in trouble, where he's riffing on the students at the high school, and like it wasn't his funniest bit. It wasn't the greatest bit I've ever heard, but it was funny. The audience seemed into it, and it was true. Like that's the most important part about comedy, is that if you're gonna make an offensive joke like that, it needs to be true, and it is true. The fact that we've elevated these kids to like, oh, they're wise. They're like the Buddha.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, they're still just like 16-year-old fucking kids, and I'm still a grown-ass man, and you know what I mean? Like, so I really don't get it. I really don't understand what the fucking problem is.
Well, another thing is, like, I just think
another thing you have to consider too.
Yeah.
The point is, a big point about the Louis C.K. thing is, he's now people are trying to paint him as like, this dude's a fucking old conservative. He's this rambling old dude, fucking doddering fool. But the thing is, this was done in New York City.
Yeah.
A conservative bastion, you know, like, I think not.
Well,
dude.
here's the thing, too. It's ridiculous to take that one little part of a 40-minute fucking stand-up set. Because this is like, we're talking about the part that outraged people is 2 minutes of a 40-minute set. Now, me and Chelsea, die-hard conservatives that we are, when I heard there was a leaked Louis C.K. full set, I was like, good. I've been hungry for some fucking Louis C.K. I missed the fucking shit.
Right.
So I immediately go and turn it on and I'll listen to the whole 45-minute show. And, you know, other than that one little section that maybe could be interpreted as like, this is kind of on the conservative side of things. Like, you don't get that impression from that fucking show.
I didn't even get that. I don't even get that interpretation of the joke.
Right. You could at least, well, because
what's conservative about?
Because it's just tribal conservative. Like, we all love the Parkland kids and we all think they're wise and brilliant. And so he's saying, nah, they're not. They're just fucking kids. And so liberals are like, oh, he's attacking the Parkland students. He's attacking the Parkland students. Oh, he's a conservative. He's all right. He's all right.
The thing is, like, that's if you take comedy at its face. Like, these statements are just, this is it. It's not intended to make people laugh. It's not intended to people to make think of anything. But like this isn't Fox News, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to drive home with this. It's like, it's not Fox News. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
He's supposed to say edgy, offensive shit. He's supposed to make you laugh at shit you normally wouldn't laugh at. That's his job.
Yeah.
It's always been the job of the comedian. It's to make you a little uncomfortable, take you out of your comfort zone, make you laugh at the absurdity of things. It is absurd that this cult of personality has built up around kids just because they were in a school where people got shot. Like, it's absurd. There's no other situation where anybody of rational mind would think, hey, let's like really hardcore listen to this 16-year-old and his life philosophy, because I'm sure he's got it figured out.
Yeah.
But this instance, because he happened to be out of school where somebody went crazy and shot a bunch of people, yeah, listen to him about that. Listen to him on issues of being a teenager trapped in a school where there's people shooting.
Yeah.
But beyond that, this like elevation of him to like this ultimate seat of he's sitting in the seat of Buddha under the fucking tree of wisdom or some shit.
When you say him, you're talking about like David Hogg.
David Hogg, yeah. Or there's this other. I don't remember what her name is. The girl that made the big.
Well,
speech.
there was a few, and look,
that speech was great. Like I got to be honest, that speech that girl made out in front of all those people was great, and it should be celebrated. But that's it.
You know what? Too is look. Hey, everyone listening to that bit is free to go and continue to respect those kids and their opinion.
And they will.
But what does it matter if a fucking comedian at a fucking show that wasn't even supposed to be a public show, not that that should really matter, goes on stage and says the opposite?
That's Louis C.K.'s bit, though. He's the ultimate curmudgeon. If you're into it, he's not.
Right.
If you think it's cool, he thinks it sucks because that he doesn't get it. He's a misanthrope. That's his comedy is ultimately misanthropic. So when you look at these kids and you feel this gushing outpouring of emotion and empathy for them, he takes that and twists it into a joke because he doesn't really, he's not that way.
Yeah, and what does it matter? It's like what they're basically saying is
censor your opinion.
If you have an opinion contrary to our opinion, then you're not only are you right wing. You're fucking alt-right. You might as well be a Nazi. I saw articles saying shit like Louis C.K. is obviously angling to be, transition to a right-wing comedian and all. It's like,
well, that dumb bitch that used to have an acting career, Ellen Burystn or whatever. Did you see that shit?
Yeah, I did. I don't remember her name. I didn't even know who she was.
Yeah, she was an actor way back in the day in a bunch of like she used to be in some like seedy kind of softcore porn type of movies and stuff.
Really? Okay.
But she was real well known, like she was in the 90s and 80s and shit. And she's making these fucking, and it's totally like fine, I guess, on Twitter to hope for somebody to be raped as long as it's Louis C.K.
And shot
in the head too. She did. Yeah, later in an addendum tweet, she said, "Oh, and after the rape, I hope somebody plugs him in the head."
How long would any of us last on Twitter if we went on Twitter and said someone we just like? If we were to say, if I was to go on Twitter right now and be like, Anita Sarkeesian should be raped, I'd be gone.
You'd be gone immediately.
Gone. There'd be no argument. There'd be no like we're gonna discuss this. There'd be no like I'm gonna try to get my account back. It'd just be dead.
Oh,
she's
dude,
got a verified account.
Dude, your fucking ass to be on the front page of the fucking front page of the Huffington Post. Like, this is what we're up against, people.
Right.
People like this.
But if you say you want Louis C.K. to get raped and shot, you can be on a verified account and you can have it up. And I know tons of people reported it because people even told me they were reporting it, even though I told them don't report it because I'm against that. But still, I just highlighted as like, look at this fucking ridiculous double standard that exists.
Right.
And that tweet's still up. It's Twitter is obviously aware of it.
Bias. They're totally unfair. They're totally biased.
And I mean, look, this is like you're talking not only about rape, but rape as like a punishment,
punitive
and a
rape.
message of like correct. You're talking about corrective rape,
and these are the people that are supposed to take rape ultimately seriously.
Right.
These are the people that believe that using rape like that is part of rape culture
and patriarchy.
But yet, it's okay when they do it. It's okay when they do it, when they wish it on somebody that may not think the same way as them. It's okay.
Well, it's like the same thing. It's like you hear some guy, it's like this guy raped this woman in an alleyway, and it's all like, you'll see comments like, can't wait till he's convicted so he gets raped in prison. It's like, wait a minute. So you think rape is bad?
I love that.
But then you wish rape on people? It's the same thing. It's like freedom of speech. People should be able to say whatever they want. Louis C.K. makes a bad joke in your mind. And it's like, no, censor him. Stop him. Like,
I always shut people down with that shit. I always go like, when they do that like prison rape fantasy shit where it's like, oh yeah, he gonna get poked in the butt now.
Drop the soap. Don't drop the soap.
Don't do it.
I'm just like, what if like your son or something like got in a drunk driving accident or something? Would you feel the same way? Would you be like, oh yeah, the butt rape train's coming for you?
Anyone
boy?
could make that mistake. Paul, imagine that. Imagine like you're walking into your, fucking apartment and someone jumps you or does something, you punch them and they somehow die, and then it's like, oh, the state just goes against you because like you could have done this, and then you end up in prison. Anyone could end up in fucking prison or in fucking jail for the most part.
I think one of the funniest things about it to me is that you say, hey, rape is so serious you can't even joke about it. But it's so not serious that anyone I don't like should just be raped.
Right.
Louis C.K., I hate him. Rape him.
Rape ridiculous.
him. Send him to the rape mob. I want to see him with 5 unconsensual dicks crammed into him at one time.
Well, if you go on Twitter, there's such a double standard for everything. It's like not like race. Like there's much people that complain like all these black NFL coaches were fired and like that's wrong and they're only fired because they were black. And it's like, well, let's look at their records. Like, oh, most of them had been long tenured. Well, one of them had been a head coach for 16 seasons, never won a playoff game, had losing records. It's like, so are we supposed to keep someone hired in the NFL simply based on the color of their skin? It's like, I don't think a coach should be kept on if they're white. Like, there's plenty of white coaches. Like, there was like the Saints had 3 bad seasons, and a lot of people were saying Sean Payton sucks and might need to go. His race wasn't a factor. It was the fact that were they winning games or not?
Yeah, if you're losing, you got to go. You know? I mean, it's like there's just so many fucking weird little absurdities in our culture that, you know, at first we were told...
Well, it's tribalism.
It's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, and now it's happening, and now we're told, like, don't worry about it because there's bigger issues to worry about. You got to worry about Trump and all that. Like, I can juggle, motherfucker. I can worry about what Trump's doing, and I can worry about what these people are doing at the same fucking time.
You better be able to juggle if you want to be on... Dude, Twitter just, in general, makes me sick.
Oh, it's evil.
It is.
You better be able to juggle.
It's a cesspool.
It's just a hive of naked, barefaced hypocrisy mixed with like these experts. Like everybody's a doctor, everybody's a lawyer, everybody, you know what I mean? Like just these people that just come out of the blue with ridiculous advice. So it's just that and a bunch of just naked, barefaced hypocrites running around and simultaneously rape is something that deserves an immediate ban if you take it lightly, but it's okay to wish it on people.
As long as they're the wrong,
right.
The bad people. Anything's okay as long as it's done to the bad people.
Freedom of speech, too. And this is on both. I got into this on Ideology the other day. I'm just so sick of this fucking talk because nobody's a freedom of speech advocate anymore. There's no freedom of speech advocates out there anymore, dude. Everybody is an advocate for their freedom of speech. All these people that are up in arms about Sargon getting banned off of Patreon.
Yeah.
Where were they when some of these other people got banned off of Patreon? Ghazi Kodzo or whatever the fuck. Oh, because he's an SJW and, you know, not what you want. His speech doesn't matter.
Right.
Let's not boycott Patreon for silencing his speech.
Yeah.
What happens to Carl Benjamin, though, that's when everybody's all up in arms. It's like, fuck you and your situational support of freedom of speech.
I've gotten to the point where, like, because of what you're talking about, I try to not even address specific cases anymore because there's just too much baggage. I'm like, no, if we're gonna actually talk about this, then we got to talk about it in general terms without the baggage of your tribe or who you think deserves freedom of speech. Because the argument that I'm putting forth is free speech absolutism. So that means that I think that the person on earth that I hate and disagree with the most should enjoy all of the same freedom of speech rights that I have, should never be deplatformed, should be allowed to say their piece, even if I think every fucking word that pours out of their mouth is disgusting, insipid fucking drivel that's bad for society.
But what about the fact that you're allowing those bad ideas to incubate and take root and become normalized?
If a fucking idea incubates, then that's the fucking idea society deserves. Good,
Here's
bad,
the thing that comes to mind.
Whatever.
Here's the thing that comes to mind.
That's
for
my
me.
attitude.
Here's the thing that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
Is remember the Westboro Baptist Church would go to these funerals, and then they actually went to the Supreme Court. They're like, people are like, no, because some states pass laws like they can't go to the funerals, they can't protest, they can't go out there. It's not freedom of speech. And the Supreme Court ultimately, I think, was like a unanimous decision. Maybe one person dissented. But that really just shows you, it's like, look, the freedom of speech is not about defending the popular ideas.
Well,
it's about defending.
In the court case, Westboro Baptist Church won.
They did win.
Yeah.
They went to the Supreme Court and they won.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were upset about it, but it's like, look, they have a right, even if, like, that's what I'm saying, like, they were a prime example in America for years of, like, this is the most hateful group in America, like, kill soldiers, there's a bunch of faggots, die, burn hell. You know, they're protesting people's funerals and shit. These faggots are roasting in hell right now, fuck them, you know, basically just like, and I'm saying, even that group, under the law, was found to have freedom of speech. And rightly so. It's not about defending popular ideas. It's not about defending ice cream is good and I love kittens. It's about defending shit like, let these faggots burn hell. Like you said, this Ghazi case or Carl Benjamin, whoever the fuck you want to talk about. And Carl Benjamin, honestly, if you want to look at it, isn't a U.S. citizen, so he's not even really truly entitled to that anyways.
Yeah.
But he should be. And the problem is is that you're right. It's about the ideal. It's about the principle. And a lot of these people only believe in the spirit of that idea as it applies to them on a personal. It's like a personal Jesus thing. It's like, oh, personally, my group should be free, but I don't give a fuck about the other groups. Like, no, if all the groups aren't free, then none of the groups are free, and that's what they don't understand.
And I'm just about sick, by the way, real quickly, of the First Amendment in general. Like, I'm sick of that being the fucking litmus test. Freedom of speech as a concept is way more robust than what this fucking dusty old document has to say. Fuck the First Amendment. I don't believe in the First Amendment. I believe in freedom of speech. The First Amendment is a step towards that. Right. That's not that to me is not the be all end all of freedom of speech, especially not like and you think liberals would get this because they've always made this case about the Second Amendment, like, hey, times have changed. Our idea about this has to change. Well, guess what? Times have also changed for speech, even more drastically, probably.
Yeah.
Or at least equally as drastically.
The public space has moved from the public square, which was also policed by bad faith actors back in the day. Right. Cops coming and bust up protests and shit. You've always had to struggle for your speech, but now it's moved into an arena where ultimate control is in the hands of corporations. We can't just sit by and say that the First Amendment is good enough anymore. We can't just sit by and say that it's good enough to argue for Carl Benjamin's speech, but not Ghazi Kodzo's. Freedom of speech protects your right to argue against freedom of speech. I think that somebody that thinks that we shouldn't have freedom of speech should have just as loud a voice as me.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is where most people find it challenging because they just can't let go of the tribalism. They can't let go of, like, what? You mean people are allowed to disagree with me?
It's a profound lack of trust in the national mind, though. What the idea, like the big argument I always get against free speech absolutism is, well, it normalizes these ideas that are normally pushed to the margin of society. I don't think it does. I think sunlight is the best disinfectant. And I think when retards open their mouth and start spouting, like, look what happened to JF. Look how marginalized he's become.
Right.
Because he opened his mouth about this crazy, like he had the ability to.
The ethno-state.
And now he's just this really kind of marginalized alt-right actor that, because he, like that happens naturally.
But let's think about this too. It's like you come out there with these opinions people don't like. And you know what happens? All these mainstream platforms, they censor these people and they push them off somewhere. And then all that does is they just go somewhere else. It's the total echo chamber.
Right.
Where there's no one to challenge.
It's an incubator. Them. It becomes like place like Stormfront and shit.
Yeah, and then and then you start banning people who aren't that.
Right.
And then they go over there, and then they're in that environment. All you're doing, you're not suppressing it, you're helping it.
Yeah.
Because, it starts off, we banned all the racists. So now all the racists are over here. And then you start banning people for more marginal shit, and they go over there. And you know what happens when they go hanging out with all the racists?
Extremism.
A lot of them become racists. And you just you haven't hurt racism by censoring it. You've helped it out. You've given it a fucking boon.
Remember when Twitter did that? They're like, okay, all these racists, all these neo-Nazis, all these alt-right people, they're off. So they start Minds.com.
Right.
And they go over to Minds, and then all that just becomes a bigger cesspool. And then the racists all see this opportunity, like, ooh, look at all these new fresh faces here. And then you have groups like the Proud Boys and people like going and beating the shit out of people. Then you have the guy end up like going into a synagogue and blowing people away.
I mean, look what they did to
because they pushed them off to the margins, like you said.
Because they said, hey, you're not allowed to be part of the public discourse anymore. Fuck that. Those people should be right in the fray, arguing their points.
It's so funny because it's always like, look, we're trying to kill this monster, but they end up just creating a bigger one. It's like, oh, we slayed this monster here, but it's like, then it just goes off somewhere else and just gets stronger and more powerful. Then one day just does this horrible thing.
And no one's there to challenge it.
And if you don't like Sargon and you celebrated him being booted off of fucking Patreon, you're retarded because his name is now in everybody's mouth because of that. You've made him a martyr. What he is he's a liberal or a conservative in liberals' clothing, passing off like mostly right-wing thought as leftism. And you've elevated him now, and people that are all over the right-wing spectrum are rallying behind him as if he's some kind of a figurehead. You've made him stronger. You've made his message easier for people to get by censoring his content off of your website.
I mean, look, you had let's not even pretend it was just right-wingers doing this shit, because you had Sam Harris, who I don't consider a right-winger, who said, no, I'm just going to get rid of my Patreon. If this is how Patreon is, fuck that.
Right.
That puts it bigger into the headlines.
Jordan Peterson
saying he's going to start his own fucking version of Patreon now.
Right. I mean, it's just...
So we blame him.
The whole thing... And look, imagine if they just let Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, have his fucking Patreon. Would it have
he'd still just be
what changed?
Sargon of Akkad. He'd still just be where he was.
He would occupy his same little spot in the narrative, but now, because of this act of censorship,
he's on a pedestal.
You got Sam Harris talking about it. You got Jordan Peterson talking about it. You have all these huge influencers talking about this fucking case. All these newspapers writing about it. Everyone's talking about it.
That's what I'm saying.
Everyone's taking a side on it. You have
Amplified
just
Patreon
pushed
thought-
him right into the fucking forefront.
Patreon thought what they were doing is, look, this guy said this comedy, he did this, he said something that's racist. Even though we said we're not going to place other platforms, we have to take a stand. We have to take, look, that's fine. They've taken their stand. But see what it's led to? It hasn't been like, okay, he was banned and that's it. Like, everything you pointed out happened because of what they did. Instead of just saying, hey, look, to the people who are upset in the San Francisco Bay Area, who obviously went to Patreon and the founder of Patreon and these people and said, this is really offensive and you guys should ban him. They should have said, look, we understand you feel that way, but he has freedom of speech and we want to protect those rights that he has and we're not going to do anything.
That's not going to happen.
But that's what they should have done. That's what I'm saying. Because if they don't think it can happen to them at some point, they're wrong. And it will.
Yeah, that's another great point, is these mechanisms that people build up to censor their enemies are always at some point turned on them. We've seen it a million times. They always naively think that it's not going to happen.
Oh, you'll take care of the shoe for us? Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, pretty much.
Come on.
All right, well, that's a good little show there on pretty much on the First Amendment and freedom of speech and how these concepts have to be updated for the modern age. So thank you guys for watching, and hope you enjoyed